I pull my earbud out as we start the show. On that, we'll be joining IE Newswire Facebook Live here in a second, and then we'll kick off as we usually do, live at 5 each and every day, Monday through Friday. Be rolling into KMET 1490 at 5:30 like we usually do. We'll have Eddie George on a little bit after the top of the hour, and we'll cover all the news and views and everything going on. Even if it could be frivolous stuff, could be very important, weighty issues going on in the world. We do it all here in our unique and inimitable style. Well, 3 seconds. We're getting ready to go on. Love that awesome intro music coming in as we do each and every day, Monday through Friday, as we're joining now Facebook Live, as we've tuned up on YouTube. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll join KMET, the Mighty Met 1490, on that, as we do every Monday through Friday on here, 5 through 6. Well, you'll get the news, views, and everything else going on in the world in our unique and imitable style that we always bring it to you. You never know what's coming on. In a little bit, we're going to be joining Eddie George of HEMET News. Coming up, we'll see what's hot in HEMET and anything that's going on in there of that. Play the Pelosi video that I've got up there in a little, or there in a second. This video summarizes that whole and kind of caps it off. It's very short. I want to do that just to get everything lit up and going. When you got that, play that little clip that I put in there in the email on there of that. It's a caricature. I think I said that right. Hopefully, of Nancy Pelosi going on at the State of the Union speech. But there you go. There you can see it for those on video of that. You can see. This was, as Trump's doing the one on the women, the jobs, but whoever made this little cartoon with the rolly eyes of that, the cartoon eyes of that, what sort of eyes are that? That's the way those eyes are moving. Jesse, you're the one on the video stuff. What is that? Is that some sort of character or something, or some?
I have no clue. Those eyes are just crazy.
Yeah. So the crazy eyes, but that was Nancy Pelosi on that whole. Enchilada all week on that. I thought that was kind of a little funny shot to start off our show with on that. And again, Trump had one heck of a. I think Trump had one heck of a week. Not only did he get acquitted in the impeachment trial that was brought, the sham impeachment trial that was brought on by the Democrats up and down the line, which should have never happened. It was going nowhere. It was a big waste of time. But what can you say? It's over. And like I said, ironically, the Democrats were saying that Trump fixed elections and he's a tool of Russia and all this other stuff. And they can't even count votes in Iowa. How ironic is that? Of going on. Plus, it came out yesterday. He got another one of these overseas terrorists from Yemen, al-Raimi, or whatever the heck his name is, Raimi or whatever, was killed in a U.S. strike on that. So another thing on the Constitution, on what is it, the emollients clause or something the Democrats were suing on. The courts just threw that out, and Trump said his highest popularity rate, his support amongst blacks and Latinos is soaring compared to when he started the presidency of that. He's just having an absolutely fantastic week. I think it bodes well. I think at the current pace it's going, and like I say, politics can switch on a dime. It can change 180 degrees in a heartbeat. Just like the Democratic race. Everybody's almost coronating Joe Biden here. Then after the Iowa debacle, I mean, now everybody's throwing dirt on the Joe Biden grave on that. So we'll see what he does. I mean, I guess, and I haven't checked the statistic out, so don't quote me on it. Joe Biden has run 3 times for president. He has yet to win a primary or a caucus or any time in that whole enchilada. So that's maybe there's a clue in there, Joe. Maybe people just don't think you're presidential material on that. But as usual, you will see them drop out as the money train goes up. It's going to be interesting. There's a Democratic debate going on tonight before the first in the ever kind of traditional primary in New Hampshire will be on Tuesday night, which will be just a straight go in the ballot. We'll see if they can count the votes on that whole deal going on, or they'll have another Democratic debacle disaster coming up on that. Because one thing's for sure is there's never a dull moment in politics, no matter what the whole thing going on. It's that we had another couple flights land on the coronavirus. Another patient was transferred to the from March, the 195 there. Another child. They tested him with a fever. They tested him and released him back over to March. I guess they didn't seem to be too concerned about that he had the coronavirus on that or something going on. So. That's another thing. Play the Indonesian video. I don't know if it appears to be correct, but this is another thing. If this is what they're doing in Indonesia, then check this out. I mean, it looks like they're spraying the passengers. I mean, with almost like you would do a plastering, but like with bug spray or something or some sort of disinfectant. I mean, how would you like to come off a plane and be greeted by this, Jesse?
I would be horrified, and I'd go back onto the plane.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they're doing on that. I mean, if they're doing this on that, I mean, and then there was the whole enchilada of coming out. The original whistleblower, the doctor in China that really or supposedly broke this about a month ago or so, the whistleblower in China, the doctor ophthalmologist, I think, is supposedly reportedly dead of the coronavirus. So I don't know if that's been confirmed yet, but that was another report that's coming on. So again, can you imagine coming off a plane and them hitting you with the bug spray with the with like a paint sprayer assembly just rolling all over your body like that? I mean, that's got to really give you some confidence of what's going on this whole deal. I mean, I don't know. Is it overreaction on the whole thing, or is it really that dangerous? There's a lot of rumors, ifs, ands, or buts coming out of the whole deal, but so far it hasn't been an epidemic in the United States. So we'll see where it goes from there. That's another one of our neat little things that's going on up and down the line every day. Like I say, everything's rocking and rolling on that. Winter Nationals at Pomona, 60th running of the probably the second biggest. I guess Indy Nationals is the biggest drag racer one. The Winter Nationals got to be number 2 behind that. That's been the iconic dry racing event in the Southern California hot rod car culture coming up. That'll be this Saturday. Well, they had first round qualification runs today. They'll have more qualification runs tomorrow, and then the finals will all be on Sunday, culminating in who will win that race out there at Auto Club Speedway in Pomona at the Pomona Fairgrounds. That's always they open the season, the NHRA drag racing season there, and they close it with the World Finals at the end of the year on that. So if you're looking for something to do coming this weekend and you got nothing else to do, go out and check out the drags. That's always a fun event to go. There isn't nothing like seeing those guys take off, whatever they're up to, 10,000 horsepower, going 4 seconds and a quarter mile and over 300 miles an hour. The sheer raw power of that is absolutely amazing. So if you've never seen it, you've got to experience. You got to experience at one time. The Top Fuel funny cars, that especially, because that's one entertaining show, and I mean there's nothing like it in the world on that. It's amazing, and those guys out of 4 seconds going that fast and stuff, they come out there, they're huffing and puffing. You wouldn't think just a 4-second ride like that could be that physically demanding, but I could only imagine how much how much that pulls on your body when you're doing that. But that's another great thing that's coming up. All sorts of things. We're breaking into Chamber of Commerce weather again out here today. Coming up on the old enchilada out there. You can't beat California for the weather. That's one thing. Couple of things we're going to get into with one thing that they had, and we'll as soon as we get Eddie George on that, we'll be talking about that. There was a settlement in a case where a kid was severely injured in a crosswalk accident out there in HEMET on that, and they had a big settlement on that in a court case on that. It is disturbing because I talk a lot about that and talk about crossing guards and safety and public safety and the amount of kids that are doing that and all the cars. Now that we are mostly doing the individual thing, or most kids are getting taken to school and back and forth in individual cars, so that just creates a major situation at all of our places around around all of our schools. So that's something that's really concerning. And they had a major problem for many years around that area. So that's a major concern about what's going on out there in HEMET. And that I can see the phone is probably not working again over there. As he's probably, yeah. I think you got to take it out up here on the front, but you can try that one, see if that makes it work. Hopefully we'll get the phone working again and see if that is, as Jesse's going by to unplug and plug the phone in and out, and see if we can get that so we can get Eddie George on the line and see that of what's going on. I don't know what's going on. We might have to get Frontier out here and replace that box or something on that. Yeah, just you plug the plug back in and out and it starts working again. Really weird of what's going on. But we're going to get Eddie from Eddie George of HEMET News, a crazy guy with a lazy eye, coming up. And we'll see what's hot in HEMET going on up and down the board. Yeah, of that. But, yeah, we've had a one heck of a day. Actually, for that or for a Friday. Oh, unemployment report came out. 250,000 new jobs were created in the United States this month, when it was only supposed to be 150. Like I said, Trump's had one heck of a week. We got this guy on, and hopefully we're gonna have him on once a week, at least on that, because he's along with running probably the biggest Facebook news organization site out in HEMET. He's an absolutely entertaining guy, an absolute fun guy to have on the radio. Like I said, it's that crazy guy with the lazy eye. I was doing it dyslexic there on that. But Eddie George of HEMET News, welcome back to the show.
What's up, Roy? You can call me anything, but don't call me late for else or Rocky.
That's
buddy.
it.
How you doing?
You got it. Well, I don't know. We might test that theory somewhere along the point on here on that. But that and I don't know if you've been aware, but they had a settlement on a kid that got injured at the high school on that. A $26 million settlement on that.
26 mil, yeah.
On that, but first I wanted there, and we talk, sometimes we just talk a lot about that. We'll get into that later. But another story that struck me it was in the Press Enterprise by Bo Yarborough, and in my book, he's absolutely a great reporter. I've known Bo for quite a while, and he's been on the show before. He's really one of the good guys and a top-rate reporter on that. But I don't know if you know this, but and this is the title in the P. HEMET Special Education Students Star in Kids Super Bowl by Bo Yarborough in the Press Enterprise. And it goes on to say, It was a high-scoring game Friday, February 7th at the 15th Annual Kids Super Bowl. HEMET Unified School District special education students were hiked to the football and ran it down the West Valley High School field to score touchdowns, all to the cheers of assembled cheerleaders and marching bands. I guess it's been a tradition there for a long time. The football players have the special ed kids out, and they let them run for touchdowns and get them have a great time out there, and the cheerleaders cheer for them. We're just running some of the stuff. That's an absolutely fantastic event in my book. I bet you the kids just really enjoy the heck out of this.
Oh, they have a blast at it, I bet, Roy. It gives them some time to get that energy out, and they definitely do it on the field,
Yeah, and it surprised me. It's been going on for 15 years. I guess a couple of elementary school principals started it, and then it's been an annual event on that. And I bet you those kids are just just delighted with you. I bet you that makes their year to go out and do something.
Oh man, they're tickled to death to be able to get out there and do that. I just heard about that. I didn't know they were doing that until I seen something on our HEMET news page about it. And I'm like, man, I bet that just made those kids' day.
Yes, it is, and and sometimes we do. We cover all the stuff, or we don't highlight some of the good things that go on in our communities and stuff enough, I think. And, sometimes you got to step back and pause a little bit and, enjoy some of the nicer things in life like this.
Yeah, we have so much in our town, We got, they always say HEMET, HEMET is one of the worst cities to live in. But I tell you what, I've been in worse cities than HEMET, and I got to admit, we may have a lot of crazy idiots in our town, but what town don't?
Right.
So I got to admit, we got some great people in our town. We proved that already. How many times? And how this community comes together for everybody out here. So, all I got to say is, man, HEMET rocks. They really do. The people of HEMET do.
It does. You pointed out, the apartment fire thing and a lot of things that have happened in that city. And HEMET's taken a lot of brick bats in that, but maybe this is the start of something that's going to turn that community around, and maybe they'll maybe it is. And I think we need to emphasize that, and like we said, where our police departments are actually cracking down on some of the individuals that have made our communities not such a great place to live in. I think if we all work a little bit more on that sort of angle, or that where I think probably there's probably somebody that throws a monkey wrench in the thing, but I think 98.7% of all people can agree that's something we should be doing.
Exactly. And, Roy, that's one reason why I designed our group page is HEMET iNews, and it's the eyes of HEMET that bring you the news. And it's, I designed it for not to the community to look at each other all the time. It's more of the community would unite together, survive together, and look out for each other instead of at each other. And that's the motto of the page that I created out here. It's the eyes of HEMET that bring you the community news. Not by me. I'm just a crazy guy with a lazy eye that holds I do go out and I do get stories, but like you said, we can't be everywhere. We got so much going on. It's not just all about car accidents and house fires or police chases. It's about the good stuff that goes on in the community as well. Like events that's happening. Where's the best place or the coolest place to eat at in town? Where's some of the best places to get deals? Times coming up, and if people want to know where to go eat at for Valentine's, where's the best food, where can I get the best flowers, for my girl this year, I tell everybody, Elite Flowers, Florida and San Jacinto. They're going to be one of our new sponsors again this year. So I'll actually be out delivering posies for Valentine's this year for everybody.
Yeah, we'll get you a new occupation going on that.
Hey, I
What?
wear all kind of hats, Roy.
There you go. Man of many talents, Eddie George of HEMET News on with us today on Fast Friday on that. I want to cover that because that is a serious story. Injured HEMET teen wins a $25.6 million lawsuit. In addition to Nick Trossant, 9 other teens were struck by vehicles in the same spot between 2007 and 2018, the lawsuit alleged. This is another one. This was written by Bo Yarborough. Jury Thursday, February 6th, awarded the $25.6 million to a family of HEMET high school student severely injured when he was struck by a truck in a sidewalk. And this has been going. What struck me about this is this seems to had been a condition that had been going on a long time in the area. I'm sure you're kind of familiar with where it's at, or maybe you can give a take on why there was so many accidents culminating in this one that have happened in that area.
Well, it's because, Roy, the only way I can put it is because we just got too many idiots out here driving around that don't even belong behind a wheel. We got a lot of bad intersections out here, and like, for instance, Gilman Springs Road, how many deaths have we had on Gilman Springs? How many accidents have I covered on that road? So, the city, and, tries to, okay, what can we do to help prevent so many accidents on these roads? Okay, so let's put up a median. Well, that does, sound like that would, prevent a lot of people crossing over a concrete median. But then they put these medians up with like a ditch in between the concrete barrier, and people still cross these things and get hung up on them. I mean, it's like not even concrete can fix stupidity out here. So, I mean, it's no matter what the city tries to do, it's like we still have the same issues over and over. These people just, Roy, I think they get their driver's license from a Cracker Jack box,
What kind of concerned me though is on that particular intersection, and it's reported in the Press Enterprise, that HEMET school district officials were concerned about the way they were engineering the crosswalk and stuff like that, and the city still went ahead and done it. Again, it's like that. I mean, I know in Colton and stuff, like in a very busy intersection, they put like a walking bridge over the top because they were getting a lot of kids were getting hit in the particular area of the high school over there and stuff. So sometimes I think we need to pay more attention to the design, engineering, and what other people's input are into these things, so we don't wind up with situations like this.
Yeah, Roy, I haven't really had a chance to even follow that story. I think it just came out, a few days ago.
Right.
The kid won this, and I know this accident happened, a couple of years ago, I believe it was?
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, 2017. So, I mean, my memory's really not refreshed on the whole incident and where it was all at. Because, like I said, I've been in Orange County dealing with, my father-in-law going through surgery and everything. And of course, now me coming down sick and stuff. But, where was that intersection at?
Oh, what was it in front of the high school? I'm trying to look for it, and I did that on the at Mustang. Yeah, it was crossing on Mustang Way. On that is where it is on the is what they are reporting in the Press Enterprise. So
Mustang Way and Sanderson.
Yes, I think so.
Oh, yeah, that is a bad intersection. It's like New Year's Eve. I covered a DUI accident right there in that same intersection. But again, it goes back to stupid people. This guy had a DUI already. This is his third DUI. And I asked him on camera, right, when the police was, bringing the guy into the car in handcuffs and everything. And I looked at him and I said, dude, was it really worth it? He looked at me, he says, you damn straight it was. I'm like, some people just never learn.
Right.
And I asked him, while we were still waiting for the police to get there, I asked the guy, I said, so you had DUI before? He said, yeah, this is my third one now. And I'm like, are you ever going to learn?
Yeah.
No, sure ain't. I'm like, there you go.
There you go, and
going.
that's a separate incident from this. Yeah, West Valley High
Right.
School is, so you know where it happened there on that Mustang Way at that intersection is where they're talking about. But yeah, that's what struck me is that kids have been getting hit in this thing since 2007. So I mean
Yeah.
they obviously had a pretty severe problem of what was going on there, and it didn't appear the fixes they were coming up with. Not saying that it is or isn't. But and it's one thing I talk a lot about at various times. But since we've gotten rid of or severely curtailed our busing system to the schools and stuff, and since most parents now are driving their kids individually by individual car to school and stuff,
Right.
it just creates it. It even adds to the dangerous situation, in my view, because you have all these cars on there, and I don't know about in Hemet, but practically every school in Moreno Valley, when kids are coming in, when school's coming in and out, I mean, it's just a complete traffic mess around
It's
there,
a
people
nightmare.
getting in and
It's
out.
a nightmare. It is. I mean, I hate going around any school area during school, take in or take out time, because it's a freaking nightmare. I mean, it's just, even parents are out there fighting over parking spots
Yes.
and stuff. It's ridiculous.
And it's been one of my contentions of this stuff of going back and forth or saying that, the one place where public transportation really works is school buses, because you have 180 days you have students going from point A to point B and point B to point A every day, like
Every day.
clockwork. You can fill the buses up. There's not one or two people riding around in them. There's actually, they are filled up, and I've talked at our school districts about that, about increasing or getting back to the bus system or the transportation system we used to have, and I think we should really look at that, because I think not only from the safety aspect of that, but like you say, it would just make all of our lives easier if we're going by the schools and it's just not this major traffic jam.
Yeah, I agree with you, Roy, 100%, because it does create a big traffic jam. And then, of course, then we got parents that's out here in a rush.
Yes.
And, then we have accidents happen. We don't know what the story was, prior to when this boy got hurt. I don't know what the situation was, if it was a hit and run or what. Like I said, I didn't really follow. It's been so, I know we covered the story, but like I said, I covered so many stories,
Right.
and I just don't really remember the full details. I'll have to go on the HEMET.com.
Yeah, that
page
might be
actually
a good project for your new video endeavor. Is to go out there and
that's what I
just
was
film
thinking.
what's going on out at this intersection and give
Oh, yeah.
give everybody an actual, because like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And let's see if we can come up with something that will be an equitable situation for everybody and ultimately be safer for the kids.
Exactly. Yeah, like I say, a video's worth a million.
Yes, it is, and that's. I think that would be very good for coming up on that. That because that's what I say. That's that might be the impetus of what it takes to do. To actually make some effective change on that, instead of doing that. And the ultimate price that it might be paid, it might save another kid from getting killed or severely injured, like has been the case at this
That's
particular
right.
intersection.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to meet up with the city, since where this topic is a pretty hot topic right now in town, and actually talk with the council and actually find out what they're going to do or what their plans are to actually taking care of that problem at that intersection.
Yeah, because that we definitely don't need we definitely need to make a safer community on that, like with improving HEMET and all of our communities like that on that. We're just about out of time on this segment, so I'll give you a chance to plug anything you want or give us any updates here. You got a minute to go. Let it rip, Eddie
Oh,
George.
well, I do have one thing I want to throw out to everybody. It's going to be happening again. Everybody's been getting scared of because all these strange-looking helicopters flying around. And everybody's wondering, oh, is it the chicken killers? So I did chickens. SC Power Company just sent a notification that they will be out flying I think 85% of their service areas. They're going to be flying helicopters checking for wildfire, dangers and stuff like that with the power lines.
Right.
So, folks, that's what they're doing. I just want to let everybody know, don't panic, and think they're looking for your chickens, because they're not. There is a post on HEMET News, and you can also go to SCE's website.
30 seconds.
List, and you can get all that detailed information on that, too.
You got it. Thanks for the update, and you're killing a really good conspiracy theory there, Eddie George. But that's what you do. The crazy guy with the lazy eye. Thanks for being on.
That's right, folks. I may be crazy, but I'm not stupid. HEMETiNews.com.
All right, here we go, guys.
You got it. Thanks for being on, Eddie.
HEMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Here we are. We're coming in live now on the Mighty Med 1490 KMET on that. We just had Eddie George, that crazy guy with the lazy eye, giving us an update on all the HEMET news and all that. Covered a little bit about Trump and the great week he's had all this week, I believe, on that. Culminating with today, just came out with the jobs report. 250,000 new jobs were created in the United States in January, when it was only expected to be 150,000. So, I mean, Trump's just been killing it this week. It couldn't have gone better, in my view, for that. And it couldn't go better. I mean, we couldn't have more optimistic outlook. It just came out in a poll here today. 90% of all Americans are satisfied in their personal lives. Unprecedented numbers we are seeing that people have an optimistic outlook all across the board. And it's one of those strange things. It's success. You know what? It makes people happy. To be able, what success, what wealth, what that buys you? That buys you freedom. That buys you the freedom to do what you want. What makes you happy. What you like or what you do does not necessarily mean or what maybe make me happy. But all of us collectively having the ability to do that and to decide that and to live our lives with that without being, how would you like to be in Venezuela or Indonesia or China with all the stuff going on? We played the clip of that going on. Play the clip of the passengers getting off the Indonesian airline airline on there. This is crazy. I mean, you think something's going on with this coronavirus or stuff. It's like spray guns, like you would be painting a car or a house or spraying the people coming off the planes with masks, and these guys are in hermetically sealed suits. Well, like, you know how you would put Roundup in the big 5-gallon tank on the back? That's what they've got, and they're spraying the people coming back and forth. How'd you like to live in a country like that, of where they just, will they do that kind of things to you? Not to mention the economic disadvantage that these cats have over there and across most of the world. I've said it a lot of the time. You show me the poor country that their citizens have a high quality of life. I just don't see it. I've never seen it. I don't think anybody else has. Go ask the folks down in Venezuela right now if they think they're just having a hunky-dory time out down there starving to death off that. Or back to the days a few years ago when they were high on the oil money and everybody was party-hardying and that and then you collapse it. And that's one of the things that I want to point out is make sure that we don't, even as optimistic and things are going as good, there's still storm clouds out there. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but there's AB5 going on, the whole deal where they're basically almost eliminating independent contractors. They've almost killed the independent trucker in California. And this AB5 is going to throw the last few shovels of dirt on anybody that's an independent truck driver or somebody who wants to go own their own truck, go out and make a living. How many hundreds of thousands, millions of people have made a very good living, put their kids through college without college loans and anything else, just by owning their own truck, whether it be a reefer trailer, a semi-end dump, bottom dumps. I've known plenty of people that have made very good livings doing just that one particular job. And that is basically gone. That's basically been eliminated in California. They've either priced you, regulated you out, they've systematically kept chipping away at it till it makes it economically unfeasible for you to make a living in that particular industry or own your own business or even start one up to become a big giant trucking magnate, because you got to start from somewhere. I mean, these things don't just magically pop up. You just all of a sudden don't walk out and buy 200 new trucks and stuff and start trucking. Every company started out as a small company at some point in time, as a one-person deal or one or two or three people that put together an idea or something and made it grow. So again, we want to make sure that we don't throw all this away of going that. And that's the beauty, I think. The one thing, and I think Donald Trump has understood this more than any other president we've had, and it's kind of ironic to me that probably the richest president we've ever had coming into office really relates to the people. He talks like us normal. He talks like, well, that's the wrong word. He talks like everyday Americans talk, whether they're at their work, whether they're having a beer at the bar, whether they're parents at the PTA meeting having a conversation. That's what strikes me about Trump. He does that. He uses the word sleazebag about Comey, which he was. I mean, he was trying to run a coup, a FBI takeover of our government, basically. They were, the law enforcement investigation agencies of our world are not supposed to be determining who or what wins elections. They're supposed to be enforcing the law or investigating crimes, not worrying about elections or who's going to get in, or using the powers invested in them through the government to investigate or whatever, torture other people like they did for many, many, many people in that whole sham of an investigation. And on top of that, they didn't even investigate probably the real crimes in this, which is the Hillary Clinton whole, email scandal, Ukraine, Joe Biden, and the whole enchilada. That seems to be shoved right under the workbench on that, and we don't talk about that, where the real crimes probably existed. And that's what's, that's really distressing to me on that our politics and that discussions have just become mean, nasty, and ugly all across the board. Look at this, look at this whole thing that's shaping with the Democratic Party in Iowa and that, where they can't even count votes. And, they're all sniping at each other back and forth, on that, where, they're possibly, can somebody please explain to me, of all the presidential candidates running on the Democratic Party, which one of them has an original idea? Not free, we're giving it away or what. Which one of them has the message that we're going to empower you? We're going to give you the tools to be the best that you can be. Which is where the conversation should be and where the conversation Trump is at. He's reshaping the trade deals, putting jobs out. Now, he can't do this all by himself, obviously, and he probably, even as President of the United States, you still have the Congress, you have the Senate, we have 3 branches of government, you have the Supreme Court and the court system. There's no one person that can just wave the magic wand and do this. But what we should be doing, in my view, is coming back to the part where we should be talking about all this stuff, in the context of how we are going to make not only the United States, but on down to our communities. And that's why I was talking with Eddie George about, 2 things. One of the great things of the the special needs kids Super Bowl, where the special needs grade schoolers, go to HEMET, and it's been going on for 15 years, and they have a great time playing with the high school football players, and they get to make touchdowns, and the cheerleaders are cheerleading them, and all that stuff. But again, like that, there's been there's traffic problems. Kids are getting hit in the schools, in the sidewalk zones and all that, walking to and from school. And those are the things that we should really be paying attention to. And I find that a lot of times, we get really caught up, in the national politics of stuff. And I've said it many times before on that. Yeah, it's, things that happen in the District of Criminals there in Washington, D.C., that, especially us in California, that's 2,500, 3,000 miles away. And, you can't, what happens in your local community has far more impact on your life than anything they are doing or not doing in Washington, D.C. And we can, sometimes I think we should, or I would hope, that we would pay more attention or invest a little bit more time and effort into our local communities. Because I believe, and I think the facts will prove me out, or history will prove me out, or the future will prove me out, that if you invest in your local community, if you invest a little time, if you pay attention to the political processes or what's going on or that, before it happens, like I was talking about the crosswalk situation in HEMET, there obviously was a problem. Doesn't seem like it's getting solved. 10 years and you're still having problems. You're still having kids getting hit and injured in this area. So, that's some of the things that you should look for in your local communities. And I've said this, Trump notwithstanding, and that's a very outlier case of somebody that just has never been elected to political office and becomes president. Most of your leaders start out in your local school boards and city councils and planning commissions and things like that. And not all of them, because, it's kind of like a pyramid, I guess you could say, up to the president of the United States. But, a percentage of them are going to become your county supervisors or state legislatures or congressional representatives, senators, attorney generals, on and on and on. And like we do that, I mean, we've got an attorney general that's suing in California, that's suing the Trump administration at every turn. We've got a state and local agencies, especially like on the illegal immigration, especially going after criminal illegals and not turning. California's a sanctuary state. SB 54, where we have a policy statewide that even if we have criminal illegal aliens in custody in our local jails, that we are not notifying ICE or the federal government, hey, we're releasing them. You might want to take a look at these guys. And, as Rocky Jones, the brother of the man who was killed by an illegal alien that was at the State of the Union, those are real stories. We brought you those stories. Sabine Durden, who lost a son to an illegal alien in the country, had been deported many times. Agnes Givney, same thing, lost her son Ronald to to somebody that was, it appeared to be, I think, a drive-by shooting or a random shooting or something, and he just caught by, was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time of that. And these stories keep going on and on and on. And, again, notwithstanding the whole immigration issue, but I think I would hope that we could come on with the thing that no matter where you're standing on the immigration issue, that we could all agree that criminal illegal aliens should have the utmost attention of all of our law enforcement agencies. And if you're committing crimes on top of the crime of being in the country illegally, if you're committing additional crimes, that might not be the people we really want to make citizens or be in our country. I think that's it. And it's the whole immigration thing. I mean, it's been used as a lightning rod deal. There's always that back whisper, they're coming after your family, whole thing that's been made the issue a very contentious issue all across the board. And again, even with that, I think we need to have more honest discussions and more sensible solutions to this problem, because it's been a problem. For many, many, many years, we had the whole invasion that was coming up, where there was hundreds of thousands coming in every month there for a while at our borders, and it created a chaotic situation, and you don't know what to do, and we're trying to figure it out, trying to treat everybody as humanely possible, when you just all of a sudden, you're dumped with a bunch of people are coming across, or they're coming up from Guatemala through Mexico or whatever, and they're claiming asylum when that didn't necessarily appear to be the case. You've got to do something in that situation that's going to be equitable for everyone. You just can't take care, and sometimes it's sad, but sometimes you can't take care of every problem in the entire world. You start, from the inside out instead of the outside in. I mean, you take your personal lives. I mean, most people take care of themselves, their family first, and then expand out to that. Governments, on outside of that. But sometimes we look at the governments to do exactly the opposite, or take across or think governments can solve all the problems in the world, and they really can't. The number one person that's going to solve problems is you and I and everybody else that's listening or looking in the mirror of that. That's where your true, and again, it's kind of like how they rope you into to becoming dependent on the plantation. Our buddy Mason Weaver, who's been on the show many times, wrote the book, Leave the Plantation. And that's what he's talking about. Taking those, unleashing that, true freedom, true free will, true that you can be better and you can improve yourself, and you're not looking at that. Because even a lot of people that talk, freedom and liberty or that, or we're getting taxed too high, but then you'll hear them 180, well, the government should be doing this, and why aren't they doing that, or they should be providing us with this or that. Instead of thinking, how are we going to get out of government? As Ronald Reagan said, the most dangerous words or scary words you can ever hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And, it is. I mean, scant almost 100 years ago, before we became, before we had income taxes, I think, which came in 1913. Like 9% of our GDP which is gross domestic product, of the entire country was in government. Now it's approaching 50%. And they say when you cross over that 50% line, you are officially a socialist on your way to tyranny, communist, whatever, and ultimately collapse, because it will collapse of its own weight, because you're going to take the incentive away from building wealth, and that's what truly makes a country or that makes a country great? What makes you great? What gives you the opportunity to be the best that you can be? And I find that we're slowly incrementally moving away from that. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. We have some bonds and stuff coming up, and taxes, and everything that just it seems like you're almost bombarded each and every day with something. And I understand that the sometimes it becomes so overwhelming you just want to tune out of it. And but I feel a lot of times, and a lot of times you shouldn't do that, because ultimately it's going to be to your detriment. I mean, the latest example being Venezuela. Everybody was partying on the oil money. You wake up one day and there's no food in the stores. There's no gas at the gas station. The electricity shut off. Nothing's working, and man, then you got problems. And I don't want to see the USA go down that path, because every superpower we've had in recorded history was it collapsed of its own weight. And it's collapsed of some of the things that I'm talking about, is coming back to that government dependency or collectivism and stuff like that. And it has been, will be, and a lot of the things that you're doing each and every day that happen on that. And that's why you should be in the ball game and fight. Fight for what's going to make your community better. Do you want them to turn Southern California into New York City, which is a lot of the plan? Do you want them not building roads and building more, transit and busways and trains that is seeing a declining ridership in each and every year? It's the homeless situation. Are you just going to turn your back or try to ignore it as you walk up by the filth and disease that's on there? That's that's some of the questions we all should be asking ourselves, because if the majority of us getting up and down the line asking these, or if good people start ignoring this stuff, it's not going to end up pretty on the whole enchilada on that. So that's one things that we should be looking at each and every day on the whole thing. And that's why we try and bring you a broad spectrum of stories, not only the national stuff but the local stuff. And sometimes I put out national stuff, and people say, "Well, why don't you cover the local stuff?" In a lot of cases I put that out there, and people just, in a lot of cases, they don't respond to it, or they're not interested. So it's up to you. It's up to all of this. Oh, we have somebody on the. Your mic went dead. Oh, my mic went dead? Really? Goes. I'm working on this. Let me change mics going on here on the fly. So how's this one going? Okay. See how we do that on the deal. But no, it's something going on of all that, of you should, if you want to hear local stories, then respond to them. Pick it up on that. If you respond to the national stuff, that's what we'll cover on the show, and anybody else. I mean, ultimately, you're the ones. You the consumer are the ones that ultimately determine what's going on, and you do that by your reaction. People do that. They watch by your reaction because they're trying to sell you something or attract an audience of doing that. So they're they're ultimately gonna give you what you are reacting to. So I find that being a very one of the ways that we should look at that. So sometimes when you're just seeing a lot of this stuff each and every day of the stuff we're doing, or you see it on the websites, or you see it on the news, that's one reason why you're getting what you're getting, is because it does that. And we're doing that. Run on the IEN, do that, because here's an unusual story, or something that's kind of a deal. Most everybody, if you're in Southern California, probably the number one iconic hamburger stand is In-N-Out Burger. And showing that they made some shoes that look, with the same design with the palm trees, the white and red that they have on their In-N-Out drink cups. They released them January 30th on that, and they put out a post said, "Yeah, wouldn't this make a great Valentine's gift? They would go much further than a box of chocolates." Well, they are already sold out of the shoes, which is amazing in less than a week of that. So if you didn't get them for a Valentine's Day gift, you are, as they say, SOL, and go look up those little letters on that to see what that means. But no, there's doing that, and they said, well, if we do come, they're not going to sell them on the web anymore. They're going to sell them, I think, in their Baldwin Park and Las Vegas stores if they do make another run of them. But I find it amazing at $64.95. They sold and they didn't say how many. I'd be curious to find out how many shoes they built on that, because they sold them out in a week at almost $65 a copy. So I thought that was a very interesting story on that. Neat looking shoes, but I don't think I'd pay $65 for a pair of In-N-Out burger shoes that look like the cup. That just seems like something that would be but I understand that we were looking at before the show. There's some tennis shoes that are like $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 a pair. Who in their right mind would buy a pair of sneakers for $5,000? That just totally blows my mind. It wouldn't matter if you had Trump or Bloomberg or Bill Gates money. Why would you spend that kind of money on a pair of sneakers, no less?
Yeah, those sneakers are not worth it. And I just showed him what Yeezys were. So those are the shoes he's talking about.
Yeah, $4,000 for a pair of sneakers. I mean, come on. I mean, that just totally I mean, I don't even know words to describe something like that. How do you come up with paying that kind of money for something like that? It's totally mind-blowing on that. But that's another fun story. We'll roll us out here on the weekend. Hope everybody has a great weekend, the weekend after Super Bowl, which is a little bit tamer, but it's probably the fastest weekend, like we said, in Southern California, because the 60th Winter Nationals are going on at Pomona Dragway out at the fairgrounds of Pomona. You'll see the dragsters running Saturday and Sunday. They just finished up first round qualifying today. Up and down the line, absolutely something. If you've never seen it, you need to, it's something that you really need to experience at that, because man, the awesome display of speed and power and absolute ground shaking, nitro burning, tire smoking that goes on at the drags is absolutely fabulous. So if you've never been, you're missing out on one of the great things in Southern California on a real Fast Friday, probably the fastest one we've got on that. So everybody, have a great weekend. Be back here on Money Monday with Stephanie coming in, and we will see you then.